This episode I felt like was hard for me because there's so much optimism. Like, like she's getting out. It's so exciting. And, continue listening. But the story was nowhere near over for Blaze and everything that happened.
Right. So the second conviction gets thrown out. And she is awarded a new trial if the prosecution wants to try it again.
Yep.
But they decide not to.
Right.
But it's not over. You think that would be the end of the story. While in prison, Blaze allegedly...
She's told me it happened.
Okay. She admits it. Had sex with an inmate. And possibly we think the only person in the history of the state to be charged with conspiring to have sex with an inmate.
That's right, yeah.
So... hold the phone. She may not be free. Right. They want her to serve a 1-year sentence for this.
Right.
And luckily, she's given just time served and still able to walk free. But that has to be another one of those gut-wrenching moments where...
they're not done with her.
Yeah.
They're not done with you yet.
and they're still not done with her. And you have hope, and then it's taken away, and then hope, and then it's taken away. But eventually, she does get to walk out of that prison and is a free person at this moment, but definitely not made whole and definitely not justice done.
So I remember as a reporter, I'm talking to Blaze's legal team. I'm like, because this is a big story, this woman who possibly cut a man's dick off and this graphic crime that the DA's office has always maintained that she's guilty of. Oh, she's being released. It was a huge story in Las Vegas, as you can imagine. And so I'm talking to Blaze's lead. We're trying to figure out when is she going to get released, right? And then, so finally, I'm like, let me ask the prison because they're the ones that are going to have to transport her. And the public information officer for the prison was like, oh yeah, we're not releasing her because she has 1 more year to serve. And it was like, but she's already been serving how many at this point for a wrongful, just the fact that was even entertained for any point. It's like, she's already served wrongful time. Can't you and they ended up doing the right thing, but that was just...
Yeah. Just the gall.
The whiplash.
Just the gall to...
the unmitigated gall.
Yeah. And the judge mentioned that it wouldn't have even have happened had she not been there wrongfully anyway.
She couldn't have had sex in prison if she wasn't in prison for the wrongful conviction,
Exactly.
And then one thing that I can tell you, I think I was one of the only people that knew about this, because Blaze had called me from prison, was it was December of, I believe it was 2016 at this point. And there's we knew things were coming. We knew that I had heard rumblings, I heard it from her family. We didn't really know, but we knew that either the Supreme Court was looking at it. We knew things were coming. And the district attorney's office, Blaze's birthday is December 14th. Her favorite time of year is Christmas. She loves Christmas. And it was less than a week before her birthday, the DA's office comes to her and gives her this offer, okay? Right around the holidays, right around her birthday. And they said, we can have you out by Christmas. We can have you out by Christmas. And she had to let her conviction stand and drop her appeal. And I thought Blaze was going to take it. I thought she was going to take it. Thankfully the holidays passed, and I think after that, she kind of felt better, but I thought she was for sure going to take it. And again, the idea that you believe this woman is a crazy, grisly murderer, not even murderer, but murderer and torturer, but you're just gonna let her out, And I asked the district attorney's office, can I see a copy of that offer? And they said, oh, we don't have it. Of course, I was able to get it from Blaze's legal team, but they're just so sneaky and I'm glad she didn't take the deal.
Because she would have had to admit guilt.
That's right.
Yeah, and then maybe that could have been more enticing early on, but once you spent that much time...
Can you imagine going to a trial for a third time? What that must have... rolling around in her head, what that must have felt like.
And you mentioned her birthday being December 14th, and I won't say that that's why I'm interested in this story and why I'm making this film, but we do share a birthday. It's a very special day.
You guys have very interesting connections, which I feel drew me to this project because I felt like you talk to certain people, they don't have a grasp on the case, because it is a complex case. You have to dissect her attack with the murder, and there's a lot. And so I felt like you had such a great grasp on the case. And then there was those really interesting intricacies as well, that you lived in Knoxville. She lived in Knoxville. The birthdays, so beyond your grasp of the case, I felt like, oh my gosh, there's these weird connections.
And
it was like kismet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like meant to be. The only other thing, and whatever else you have, but the Detective La Rochelle, I talk about him in this episode, and what happened shortly after. So Judge Stephanie Miley declares Blaze gets a new trial. That was like December 20th. Yeah, who knows? Midday. Let's say 9 a.m. I don't remember. So 9 a.m. to that morning of the next day, I'm working at Fox 5 in Las Vegas at the time, and we get a press release from Las Vegas Metro Police saying he's now a captain. Captain La Rochelle is missing. If you've seen him, and my brain was like fully firing on Blaze at this point because she'd just gotten a new trial, and then I see La Rochelle, and it was like, and so he was later found, thankfully, okay. But the last place he was seen was heading into this wildlife conservation. The last intersection his car was seen at was heading into this wildlife conservation area. So what was he doing there? Was he going to have a somber moment? I cannot tell you. He will not talk to me for this. But the timing is very strange to act like it didn't have something to do with Blaze.
Right.
So again, I would love to know what happened. Maybe he was going for a drive. Do people do that anymore? They just go for a drive
and not tell anyone, turn off their phone, all that kind of stuff.
Something happened, okay, that he was gone. Thankfully he was found. Nothing, but so Blaze was finally released January 3rd, 2018. I got to hug her. I might cry right now. I got to hug her. She kind of shooed the reporters away, and then I went and met her family somewhere else. And you can't hug her when I would go visit her in prison, And so it was the first time that we really got to embrace, and it was just such a surreal moment. It was really crazy. That night she went home and she opened up 15, 16 years worth of birthday and Christmas presents.
That's right, because Michelle had bought her Christmas presents each year, but couldn't give it to her because you can't just give people anything in prison. And
when she got out of prison, she didn't want anything blue. I remember that. She didn't want, because that's what they wear in prison, nothing blue.
I don't blame her.
Yeah, so, she's out. It's such an exciting moment for her, for her supporters, for the people that believed in her. Right before she was released, the district attorney's office said she's still guilty. Just and one other thing, too. The morning I got called in early, because this was my story, we got called in early because she was going to be released, 8 a.m. And it's 9, 10, 11, 12, it was time. It was what's going on? They tried to get her to register as a sex offender before she would leave. Just, again, the one last, and she refused, and they ended up working it out. But it's just one last little.
Yeah. It's so much of it is retaliatory rather than for any public interest whatsoever.
But it was really great. The first few weeks after she was released, it was wonderful and exciting. And, we'll get into this in the next episode, but quickly realized people that come out of prison, wrongfully convicted or not, it's a little bit of a free fall.